right. This thing on? Of course it is. Anyways, what up? What up? How you guys doing? Um, this is not gonna be a long one. This is gonna be a quick one. So, Arbanaka here, and this is like a response video for a fellow YouTuber named Omega Courtney. So she had a video the other day called "Who is holding men accountable?" So I've actually posted the link in the description, and let's talk about it. So it was actually a very interesting video, right? That was a pretty interesting question. Who is holding men accountable? And she talks about the lack of morality and principle that we see amongst men, and then it feels like nobody's actually, either standing up to them or just, have some basic integrity, or if they do, they're just afraid to talk about it. It's more like, well, I don't want to be that guy. So, and I understand that part. So here's what I was able to understand from my perspective about why, for some reason, it seems to be there's no one holding men accountable for their action. Because we first have to understand when it comes to our elders, right? When it comes to the older men, there is no respect for the elders. You know why? Because the destruction of family happened on their watch. Nobody really respect the boomers. Nobody really respect the Gen Xers, because the divorce rate was happening in their, on their watch. All that stuff was happening. The destruction of the family, all that stuff was taking place on their watch. So then now, as marriage as a whole, or family itself, is no longer is no longer being regarded as the same thing as it used to be, because the model that was being used for family is now broken. What up? What up? What's going on, man? Hold on. Who is this? Hold on. Let me check real quick. Because your name is not showing up right on the Facebook. So I'm gonna check who's that first. Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Dwayne? Yeah. So, all right. So then, if nobody really respect marriage, right? Nobody respect integrity or morality and stuff like that, you would come across as you're just being preachy or whatnot. So then, if you try to hold young men accountable, they're looking at you like, who the fuck this guy think he is, right? Get the hell out of my face. So that is why you have older men, when they try to actually fit in with the younger crowd, they now scoop down to their level. That's why you have like 40, 50-year-old men walking around with still their hat backward or their pants sagging. It's like, dude, you aren't you a little too old for that? Or talking about like bitches this, bitches that. Because instead of them try to uphold certain standard, they now try to fit in, as if like they still try to recaptivate their youth. They still try to live their, their high school glory days and stuff like that. And you also have to understand, like, these guys, they themselves don't want to hold themselves accountable. Because if they have to admit that, yeah, our generation, we dropped the ball. Our generation, we let women run all over us. Our generation, we let the family destroy itself. No, but you don't really see that amongst older men. What you have is a whole bunch of men that look defeated. And now they try to point the finger at women, saying that, well, see, it's not my fault. It's because of feminism. It's these women right there that destroyed the family structure, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And to me, it's like, all right, well, to a certain degree, their complaint is true, right? And now them trying to be that victim, them trying to actually look like victim as to why things are not working out, or the destruction of the family, it almost feels like it's weak and pathetic. Because from my understanding, or from the way I was brought up, like men are not supposed to make excuses. When we see a problem, we're supposed to work towards it and fix it. But now the men that we have in our society almost feels like they are defeated. They don't want to hold themselves accountable. Be like, you know what? It happened on my watch, then I'm part of the problem. I'm the one I blame right now. Right? So that is one thing. And then also, when we're looking at the rules of engagement when it comes to the whole gender conflict, the rules of engagement to how men now try to deal with women when it comes to confronting them, as well as um, advising other men on how to confront women. So the example that you gave earlier, right? So when you talked about Steven Jackson, I think he was a basketball player. Steven Jackson was supposed to get married, right? So he proposed to his fiance or ex-fiance, and then talked to her about the whole prenup thing. Be like, you know what? I don't want to get married unless there's a prenup, right? So for months in, every time he asked her about, hey, did you sign a prenup yet? She tried to, brush it off and all this stuff, blah, 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 right? And then he's like, all right, just keeping an eye out. And he really liked that girl, right? But she didn't want to sign a prenup. And until the wedding day, when she decided that she still didn't sign the prenup and stuff like that, and then he decided to cancel the wedding, and she was crying, oh no, I'll sign it. But if for someone sign a prenup or any type of contract under stress, then it's invalid now. So then the wedding didn't go on, and he was destroyed because now he finally had to admit to himself that, damn, this girl was trying to finesse me for my money. So his trust was broken. Granted, he should have put that to the table like months before. Be like, hey, you have until this date, and we're not moving to preparing the wedding until there's a prenup signed, until all this thing happened, right? But no, she was trying to be slick, and then try to get him to marry her without that prenup, right? And then when he came to the realization, his whole world kind of crumbled in that instance. And then, he cried and he wanted revenge. So now this is where also I have to hold your feet to the fire, Courtney, right? Because when you were telling the story, when you were explaining that after, when they didn't get married, and then he ended up sleeping with some of the bridesmaids. He ended up sleeping with some of the bridesmaids, once the wedding didn't happen. So him and his friends, they went out and all that stuff. And then he was criticizing, like, well, what kind of friends, what kind of friends are they to, you would actually end up sleeping with your girls, so, which to a certain degree, I understand it is kind of hypocritical, right? But now, however, now the question is, like, what are some of the tools that we men have when it comes to retaliating against a woman that hurt us? Because even though you told the story, Courtney, right? Even though you talk about it, but you simply gloss over the fact that this chick had refused to sign the prenup. So then who are holding women accountable? I mean, maybe you believe that a prenup shouldn't be necessary in a marriage, but I think to a certain degree it is, especially if a woman come into your life. She wasn't there at the start. She wasn't there when you were just like dirt poor and elevating yourself to a higher standard. She wasn't there when you were struggling. She came through when you already had everything. So then, yeah, a prenup is quite necessary when you have certain tax bracket, because you're not just yourself. You are just a brand. A lot of people depend on your income. A lot of people depend on the companies which you have created. And then now some chick came out of nowhere and who is not that emotionally invested within you to begin with, because you don't know that. And that's the problem with try to start a family when you already have your wealth, because you don't know if that person is with you because of you or if she with you because of your money. And yeah, in that scenario, I totally understand the prenup thing. And if she was truly honest about her intention, she could have been like, all right, well, I'm going to have a lawyer looked at the prenup and actually set up some of my conditions. So for example, it's like, well, All right, Jackson, if you cheat on me, then I'm gonna get that amount of money from you and stuff like that, blah blah blah. If that divorce happened because I walked away from the relationship, there are like so many ways she could have actually worked on that prenup, so then therefore both parties can have set conditions on how things how things should go on about if it doesn't fall out. I mean, like, even with me and my girl, right? We don't have a prenup and all that stuff, right? But now that the businesses that we try to set up, we're constantly talking about it. Like, all right, what would happen, about shares and all this shit, you know? And then when we set up our business, hell yeah, she's my business partner. We will have a contract. We will do all that stuff going on. So there's a difference between love and business. And I think a lot of time society, when we're speaking to men about starting a family, all that stuff, we don't really talk about the financial aspect or the financial condition that should be taking precedence when it comes to the woman that you are about to marry, because it is necessary. It is a vital. If think about it, if most marriages, one of the number one reason that most marriages ends in divorce is due to financial pressure, financial problems, then why wouldn't finances be on the table when speaking about marriages, when speaking about someone you want to spend the rest of your life with? I think that is very important. And for her to try to finesse him into getting married without a prenup, I think that was really fucked up of her. And now imagine, as a man, you already spent like 400K on the wedding, right? You spent 400K on the wedding. How are you gonna get that money back? You can't take her to court. She ain't gonna be able to pay that shit back, or she won't. So as a man, I'm looking at it. What should I do? Hell yeah, I'm gonna smash your best friend. Hell yeah, I'm gonna hit that. I gotta get my revenge somehow. Is it wrong? Yes, it is wrong. But what are the tools that men have in order to actually, retaliate against a woman that hurt them? If it's easy when you actually having to confront another man, right? You confront, you fight, you broke some draws, blah blah blah, right? You can do that with another man, or you can take him to court. You can do all that other shit when you're dealing with another man. But when dealing with women, men are quite limited on their action on how to retaliate. Because sometimes we could be like, well, you know what? Karma will get her. But nah, screw that. Sometimes we have to be the karma. For the first time, when Jackson saw her as that gold digger, and then now any type of respect that he might had for her concerning about, like, yeah, I'm gonna stay away from her friends. It's not right. It's not doing this. So all these things kind of now went out the window. She, the ex-fiance, now just become a groupie. And to her, once he saw her as that groupie, then her friends now fair game. Is it wrong? Yeah. Can I blame him? No. It's like the same. Like, I would understand if he was messing around with her friends before they broke up, right? Or even if they actually had a clean breakup, right? Even if they had a clean breakup and stuff like that, right? And then I would still be like, yeah, that's fucked up. Don't you don't mess with her girlfriends and shit like that. That ain't right. I would understand that. But no, but the way that happened, yeah. Listen, I totally understand that revenge. I totally get it. It's like the same thing when, for example, I'm against alimony, right? I don't believe a chick, after she left the relationship, she should get alimony. I don't believe that. However, if, let's say, the husband was cheating on her and all that stuff, right? And then she's taking alimony, she had that revenge mode. I still don't agree with it, but I understand that aspect. Yeah, I'll give her a pass. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes you have to be the karma. Hold on, guys don't get married because it's okay. Guys don't get married because it's easy for girls to screw over guys. It's usually the guy ends up feeling fucked over. Yeah. I mean, that all that part is true. But now going back to holding men accountable, and then and you were and Courtney, you were saying what type of friend does he have to actually even allowed that to happen. First of all, I think his friends were great friends. They were awesome because his friend was the one that kept reminding him like, hell no, dude, do not get married if she doesn't want to sign that prenup. And to me, having the type of friend that actually at least warns you of the danger that you putting yourself into, at least warning you of those danger, and then knowing that he had to make a tough decision to actually, like, the woman that he really loved, and having to break up with her because she she had refused to sign that prenup. That was hurtful for him, and I totally get it, and I totally get why he tried to get that revenge. So I don't think I think his friend was actually looking out for his best interest. Now, I think the accountability that you're talking about is when men are doing fucked up things, when men are doing things that are immoral, that are very messed up, and then their friends are not holding their feet to the fire. They're not holding them accountable. For that aspect, yeah, I totally agree with you. Because when it comes to, let's say, accountability amongst men, right? I think there are two things that are required for that to happen. And when it comes, you got to have a common enemy, and you also got to have a common purpose. A common enemy as well as a common purpose. So when it comes to, let's say, we're looking at a relationship from the past, right? Relationship from in the perspective. The common enemy was poverty, right? Most men, they want to be like, you know what? I want to raise my children. I want to give them what I never had. I want to have a good family. I want to, all that stuff, right? So they wanted to actually, they thrive to be better. They thrive to make something of themselves in order to elevate them and their family out of poverty. So that's why when you're looking at the stats where married men do better financially than single guys, because now they have this drive to try to actually get somewhere. They either want to start a business, they either want to do something, because they have that motivation, which is their family, right? So poverty was the common enemy, and then with the common purpose is to create family, create financial wealth, or creating generational wealth. But as marriage or family, as the family unit started to destroy, then men overall lost that purpose. They lost that purpose of elevating their family to continue the generational wealth. So, and the people that which they were supposed to start the family with became that enemy. So then men started to see women as the common enemy for their downfall. And that's why you have all these groups that kind of sprung about, such as, the MGTOWs, the Red Pill movement, the PUA, and all this other crap. So now, how could, as a man, I would come through and try to hold these men accountable when I don't have a model to show them, like, hey, this is better? Because to them, marriage is a death sentence. So then how can they look up to me? How can I hold them accountable when they don't look up to me? You know what I'm saying? So therefore, now that's why a lot of men want to say that, well, I don't want to be that guy. It's easy for some of these men, even sometimes some of them that are married men, they even come up to me and actually go against me, saying that, well, how come you even talk about this dude that are pumping and dumping? Leave this brother alone, man. So it's like, it's you as a married man, right? It's almost like you have to fight a battle uphill, because men are looking up to you and saying that, well, you know what? I wish your relationship failed. There's a lot of married people that are fighting against, the laws that's going on. They are the one with the men's right activists. They are men's right activists. They are fighting against the court system. They're the one trying to help out men who's having issue with child support payments, or having issues with alimony stuff, giving them the best lawyers and all that stuff. But it's not being heard. It's not being in the forefront. What you have is a whole bunch of dudes angry at life and become comfortable with their anger. It's easy to just sit on your ass and say, yeah, these bitches ain't shit, and not doing anything about it to fix those problems that you claim you have. So then, are there men out there fighting against, on behalf of men, and to actually recreate a society for, that works for both gender? Yes, there is. They are actually creating a society that is parallel to the pump and dump culture, as the pump and dump culture is actually degrading. It's actually destroying itself. So now, because of that parallel, right? Because it's not the loudest voice on social media, because you do not see these men, those married men, fighting for the right of all men, fighting for the right of women as well, the true equality, not the pretend equality of, oh, you know what, feminism stands for equality, blah blah blah. But it's like they're able to hold their comrades' feet to the fire, as well as they're not being a pawn to fight on behalf of women, of women's issue that doesn't benefit men as well. So we have to ask ourselves, there's now holding men accountable. What is the difference between holding men accountable and being an attack dog for women? Because there is a difference. There's a huge difference between holding men accountable versus being an attack dog for women. And sometimes it feels like a lot of these women, they try to use men to fight their battles for them. They try to use men as if like, well, you're supposed to be on my side even when I'm wrong. No, fuck that. And that is the line that I think some men, they themselves are confused, because it is in our nature to constantly try to jump through and come to a woman's defense. And I get it. But sometimes you have to see where these guys are coming from. And it's like, and that's why when I talk to these individuals, when I talk to these young men, is that like I try to differentiate, if are they truly hurt by their, what's going on in their past or their current situation, or are they simply using those excuses to be assholes? So I had to make that distinction. And then once I make that distinction, then I'm able to actually address them accordingly. You understand what I'm saying? So yes, I am one of the few that actually are holding men accountable. But I would also be damned to be used as a guard dog, or an attack dog, to actually try to spew out, women's propaganda and whatnot. So hold on a second. All right, let's see. Miktovsky, a community that allows a large number of young men to grow up in broken homes dominated by women. Yeah. So, and that is the thing. There's like I am critical of MGTOW, not because I am against MGTOW, but because I'm trying to hold a lot of these men accountable for their action. However, some of them that are genuine, the ones that are genuine are the ones that I appreciate. Like, for example, there's this guy called Knowledge is Power, right? He was married 3 times, and then he, his history is a bit like, but you could tell when you listen to his content, when you listen to what he has to say, he's a very intelligent dude. So then of course I'm gonna approach him differently than versus someone who's just like give up on life. That's just, well, not give up on life. Someone that is just being like, who want to see the world burned. Because I'm not against women, right? I am for men to be better, so then they can actually rebuild society. Because men, we are builders, right? And I'm very critical of men who just sit down and complain and complain and complain and complain. And to me, it's like, well, if you're not doing anything about what you say is bugging you, then you must love the misery which you find yourself in, right? So hold on a second. All right, never acquire any stable relationship to male authority, never acquire any rational expectation for the future. That community asks for and gets chaos. Well, now let's talk about some of the men that actually were raised by women, right? And I think they have acquired, they have attained certain um, characteristic to which that are feminine, and that itself, one of the characteristic is the lack of accountability itself. A lot of these, not a lot, a good portion of these men refuse to be accountable for their action, right? Because it's like, here's how one of the way I actually take, find out if whether or not a man's being genuine about his failure in a relationship, right? If he's actually, speaking the failure of his relationship based from a factual level, like, you know what, this happened, that happened, yeah, she was a cunt, and then, I was this way as well, blah blah blah, right? So then therefore he's given his account in the relationship based on his understanding, as well as his ability to somewhat reflect his role in the failure in that relationship, because there's never just a one-sided argument. There's three sides to every coin, you know and the truth often reside on its edge. So when I hear some of these stories, like, yeah, you know what, she was a hell of a cunt, man, but yeah, I was a dick too. I used to do something think just to piss her off. I used to do this and that, right? That is someone that has some sort of reflection in that relationship. But when you come across dudes that just be like, yeah, man, fuck all these bitches. You know why? Because they're all the same. They do this, they do that, blah, 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 right? And then there's like, when it comes to him, he's perfect. Oh, man, nah, it's all her fault. Dude, it's like your fourth or your fifth failure and shit like that, right? In a relationship. You're telling me, like, it seems like to me you are the common denominator, right? And this is how I hold some of these men accountable. And yeah, some of them don't like it. But it doesn't mean that, like, I have an issue with some of these male group, because I want them to succeed. I want them to be better. I want them to actually elevate themselves from that chaotic notion that they have, and it seems like some of them, they just want to watch the world burn. They just become very nihilistic, and that I'm against, and when it comes to the parallel universe or the parallel society where married men as well as some single ones, right? The parallel reality which they are building is a contradictory to the hookup culture, right? Now, the conversation is not about pumping them. The conversation is not about going overseas and smashing chicks. The conversation is not about, yeah, this is what you got to do to get in her pants, right? There's a group of men that are moving away from this conversation, because those type of talk doesn't build society, right? Those type of conversation doesn't build society. So then my channel kind of serve as a bridge. It serves as a bridge to which, when I talk about these things, right? Yeah, I can have some goofy moments, but however, I speak more from an intellectual level. I speak more from a morality level, principle, and I do not, lower down my standard to people that actually want to interact with, so it's like, and you can see, like, sometimes when I have troll coming into my channel, like, they might start off as troll and everything like that, right? But a little by little, they there is something in my channel which they actually find at least not entertaining, but that sparks some ideas in their head. That kind of sparks some self-reflection in their mind. So despite how much they might hate what I have to say, but they at least can leave my platform and have certain thought, have certain, reflection on what are they doing in their life, what type of purpose that they actually have, because that's what I encourage them to do, to have purpose in life. Don't simply just spend your 20s and 30s bitching about women, you know. And one of the things that you also point out, right? Because the question is, yeah. Now the question that I have for you, Miss Omega, is who are holding women accountable? Who are holding women accountable for their action? Because one of the things that I like about your content is that you had admit of your failure in your relationship, right? You admit of where you fucked up and how you could do better, right? And you try to inspire young women to not make the same mistake that you've made. However, now, um, when you have uphill battle as well, because when you try to hold young women accountable, then they will ask you like, well, if you knew so much, then how come your marriage failed, right? And also when it comes to your friends, because you did mention to your friends when you were doing some messed up stuff when you were in your relationship, that some of your friends, they stop hanging out with you. Now, did they actually give you a warning? Did they actually confront you and let you know that, hey, look, what you're doing is really fucked up, and because of that, we're not going to be friends anymore until you fix it? Or did they actually stop hanging out with you because they now were no longer able to trust you? Because trust is very vital in any relationship and friendship. Trust is very important. So when we're speaking about accountability amongst men, one of the reasons why it feels like society is not going anywhere is because we have no trust amongst men. If the common enemy is women, right? And if the rhetoric is about like, yeah, we're gonna do everything that's possible to hurt women, right? And not all of them, but some guys, right? You know, the whole pump and dump culture. The pump and dump culture is all about regarding women as just nothing more but objects. They should not be taken seriously. They should not be having a family with them. None of that stuff, right? Right. And then it's like the most of these young men, they constantly have to fight their urges to, you know, getting to know to actually just have a partner. And that's why that some of the anger stems from. But now, how can you trust your fellow men when you don't know whether or not, if you ever have a girl, they're gonna come to you and try to fuck your girl? And if they succeeded, they're gonna turn around and be like, see, bro, listen, I told you she was unfaithful, right? Or if they don't succeed again with your girl, they will say some shit like, come on, bro, why you mad? I'm just making sure that, you know, she was the right one for you, bro. You know, I'm just saying, look, I'm doing you a favor. Now imagine if I try to fuck around with her and then I end up fucking her, then, you know, that's how you know you got a good girl now, because I didn't succeed. So now, how could there be any type of trust with men that would not think twice about trying to get with your girl? That's why these guys are not building. That's why they're not in any position to hold each other accountable. They're not. Because there's no integrity amongst them. There's no honor amongst thieves. So Thomas Lundy is knowledge is power. Yeah, he's a listen, look, yeah, yeah, Thomas Lundy, yeah, that's his name. All right, cool. Yeah, knowledge is power. Like I've watched some of his content and everything. Right? The first time I come across them was when I did a video about MGTOW, and I said, "Is MGTOW now a joke?" Right? And then of course I got a lot of backlash from MGTOW dudes and all that stuff, which I enjoyed it. Some of the trolls was awesome. It was amazing, right? I had fun reading some of these things, you know. And then he came to me and actually he wrote his perspective and all that stuff. And like I'm a very fair person, right? And like, okay, for example, Miktovsky, like we talk you know, several times before and all that shit. And every time we chat is with respect. You know, and there, like I said, there are people that come at me sideways, and then I just give them the same energy. But the next day when they come at me and they're actually not on the trolling mood, then I treat them, you know, I treat them with the same way. Like, you know, you're not trolling, you being cool. All right, cool, we're good. You know, and I think that is the problem, where a lot of people don't care about what you have to say. They just want their perspective. They want their words to come out of your mouth. And I cannot do that. In order for you to be associated with me or to be my friends, you gotta accept the fact that I might say shit that will piss you off, or I might say shit that you will not agree with, and vice versa. I will understand when you say things that I don't agree with, and yeah, no problem. That's why I have, friends that consider themselves MGTOW. I have friends that are pro-black. I got friends that are SYSB, and it doesn't fucking matter to me, because I try to see the character of the person, not what they try to sell you, not the flag that they're flying under. And oh yeah, it's fucking almost over a half hour. So now, to finish this is in order for us to be able to hold men accountable, we first have to change the culture to which that standard can be applicable. So then when we have to create a better model. The reason why a lot of married men don't put themselves out there into the forefront, because they are the working model, the old working model when it comes to relationship fell apart. And the men who actually find success in their relationship, they don't want to be in the forefront. They don't want to have their relationship be put under scrutiny. And especially if what you're talking about goes against the current pump and dump culture. Because what tends to happen is, like, say, for example, right? Let's say that you're a couple, you're just having fun and all this shit. Let's say me and Sirius and all that stuff, right? We're just talking crap, all that stuff, whatever, right? We have fun and we enjoy each other's company, right? But to me, that works. To me, that's, my relationship is working for me. Why? Because I'm happy in it. I'm happy in it. And then I'm myself. I'm not losing who I am in that relationship. And I think that's the fear. A lot of people, they fear losing themselves and they fear losing who they are once they get in the relationship. But now, if you have all these couples that start coming through and actually start giving out, be the example of what it could be, of what a good relationship could be, then you have those who are trying to put everything that you do or say under scrutiny. That's one. And then you also have those who would hope that your marriage fail. They would hope that your relationship collapse, because to them, they already have it in their mind that all relationships are bad. Relationship is a dead end. You shouldn't be married. You shouldn't be in a relationship. You shouldn't be none of that stuff. And then now here come a couple that's actually, just regular people. They don't, they don't have any type of high expectation. They're just being themselves. So then they're gonna want that relationship to fail so they can be like, see, here's another example of why a relationship don't work. So it is in their best interest for, a working relationship don't succeed. And now imagine, as a married man or someone who has, or is in a relationship and stuff like that, right? Coming through all these hateful rhetoric, do they really want to deal with that crap? No, they don't. So they want to talk about, so they rather talk about other things, they talk about politics. They find their other purpose that has nothing to do with try to teach young men how to be responsible, how to teach young men how to actually have a fruitful relationship. Because to them, it's like, well, shit, I figured it out. Yo, I should figure it out. It's not my problem. So most men looking at it that it's not my problem, But I see my channel as this bridge. And to me, I'm not here to kiss nobody's ass, nor I'm here to actually try to be or preach or try to force down my ideology on your throat. Right? That's why I don't really go and visit so many channels that are like, that spill rhetoric or hateful rhetoric, or even not even hateful rhetoric, but rhetoric that is just like, that promotes pump and dump culture. Or, I don't really go there and comment that much stuff like that, right? I do my things on my own channel, because I believe that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So who is holding men accountable? Men like me. Men like Thomas Lundy. Knowledge is power. Men like Lonely Wolf, he's another MGTOW. Shit, I mean, men like Big JX. There's a lot of us out there. There's a lot of us out there. We just don't have the loudest voice. Now, the question that I have for you, Miss Omega Courtney, who are holding women accountable? All right. So this is Arbanaka. Share, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys for coming through. I appreciate it. Louise Miktovsky. Dude, I haven't seen you on my channel for a while, Miktovsky. So yeah, Dwayne, what up? Oh yeah, and smash that like button. Smash it. Let's see girls behind. All right, peace.